The time of your life where you're most imprinted and terrified is when you're like 6, 7 and you're watching a horror movie. And it's a feeling that you won't have again in the rest of your life. So it's a bit of a quest to get that feeling back. So I think that's what the journey is of a filmmaker that loves making scary movies. You know, an essential part of being a filmmaker is finding your own vision, and finding your own vision is often related to your own experience with the original work. Everyone reacts differently to work. Everybody has a different emotional experience reading a book like it. It's not so much about the external pressure or anything, but more like finding your own vision. I admire Stephen King immensely, but you go into shooting this movie and reimagining the story by looking inside your experience as a reader and your emotional experience with that story. So you're not really trying to step up to a general perception, like a collective perception of the book, but you're looking inside. And I think that's very important when you're making a movie that deals with emotions and feelings, and when you're making a movie with horror, which is the other little bit of thing that you also have to look inside. I think that, if you're trying to scare an audience, you have to first see what scares you. Because it's the most genuine way of doing things. The things that scare me might not work for the majority of the people, but I know that there's a big chunk of people that will understand. And of course, there's things that are conventionally scary, and there's some of those, but some of the scares are very related to my own experience growing up. It wasn't such a difficult task to basically track the big emotional beats of the story and orchestrate them into a feature format. It was a craft. It was sort of a puzzle. There's 7 main characters. You have to introduce them in a way that is engaging emotionally with the audience, and at the same time you have to move the story forward. So it's not a normal movie in that sense. It's not a normal script. It's not alien for me to combine different elements and create a compelling character-driven drama, even if you're doing a horror movie. And a lot of that has to do with Stephen King. He knows that an adaptation is a different animal what the original book is, and he gives the freedom for the filmmaker to do his adaptation.
I had hopes, but I was not prepared for how good it really was. It's something that's different, and at the same time, it's something that audiences are going to relate to, and they're going to like the characters, because to me it's all about character. If you like the characters, you care, and then the scares generally work. The important thing is they kept the core idea that Pennywise gets to these kids by finding out what they're afraid of and being that thing.
It's a shape-shifting entity of evil that appears in this kid's lives. He's been around for millions of years. He comes out of hibernation and starts feeding on kids. Bill, which is always seems to be like a step ahead or wants to discover the nature of this monster, says to the losers, he says, what if this monster is eating children, because that's what we're told that monsters do. And his thoughts are so simple, and it makes you think about a character that it's so simple that its mythology could be created by children, preserved by generations and generations of children. So why not translate that concept into his appearance? My first drawing was basically this baby-faced clown with eyes that looked in different directions. So there's a strange, twisted balance between someone that looks innocent and fun and cute, but there's something wrong about him. I showed this early sketch to Bill, and I said, look, probably in post-production we're gonna do this with your eye. We're gonna turn it to look away, Stravic. And he said, why would you want to do it if I can do it in real life? So he did it, and his eye suddenly was looking away. He's incredibly talented. The control of every muscle in his face is amazing. Every single scene with Pennywise implies some certain Titanic stunt, and I really have to give it to Bill to go through that, because he did an amazing job, and his energy was at full all the time.
It mentions in the novel somewhere Pennywise is its favorite form. He really enjoys doing the clown. So that was something that I wanted to play up as well, that he's having fun while he's doing this. Playing an entity that's playing a clown. So it's like these kind of steps. And I wanted to get that into the character, that there's kind of glitches almost, that it's not just a clown, it's just something off, something weirder, something even more sinister. I wanted to create this feeling that you never know what's gonna happen when the clown's around.
There's a lot of things that people don't expect Pennywise to do, but they are part of the original work. And one of the things I wanted to bring was the unpredictability of that character, and making him really, really scary because you don't know what he's gonna do next.
And Andy has done a masterful job at keeping him unpredictable. So even when you say that we know Pennywise, do we know Pennywise?
The book is told very much from the perspective of the kids, the losers, so everything we know about the monster is basically very speculative and shrouded in mystery, and that's one of the things that I love.
Andy responded to whatever I did. And because of that, we did have kind of a connection from the beginning. He trusted me and I trusted him. So we kind of both figured out what the character was together, and then I could really go for it and know that I was in good hands.
With Bill was very collaborative all the time, and I didn't want to impose things. I just talked to him about what my conception of the new character would be, how a reimagining of the character was, and we agreed on everything. As much as we loved Tim Curry, we knew that we were going further. We wanted to keep the essence of the original character in the book, and at the same time bring an edge to it. Now that we agree that Pennywise should be horrifying because of his unpredictable behavior, in the edit we can mix and match things from different takes, because I like to make the scene grow. I like to make alternative takes and be open to what happens on the day, and basically give the freedom to go if the scene requires it, just to improvise and stuff. And all the kids were amazing in that sense, you know, because they were really having fun. I really wanted to bring it to life by finding actors that had those characters built in their own, you know, essence and personality. For me, it was important to then see them together as a group. So we got to those chemistry readings where the 7 kids were in the tiny room and doing the scene. Then when you see them in a group, you really watch them as the big character that the group is. The other step was having them bond before shooting. So there was a period of 3 weeks where the kids were in Toronto, and they had these activities and exercises where the objective was for them to become friends. So when we went to camera, the chemistry was so strong, and it's so believable, and you know, it was easy to believe that these kids were real friends in real life.
He was really open about it. He really let us decide kind of what we were gonna do.
He's always asking us, because we're all obviously kids, and these characters are kids our age, living the same life that we are. So I think he genuinely wanted to know what our opinion was on the scene and how we would actually act
as a real child.
As a real child, and so, and he knew that. But he's also so talented. If he wants something, he can easily make us understand what he wants.
Probably the challenging event was the opening scene in which Georgie gets in contact with Pennywise, and that's a pretty intense opening. Of course, everyone's concern was that Jackson, the actor, was okay with doing this and that he wouldn't be shocked in any way. So it was a very delicate process in which, you know, we explained everything that was happening, and he had a lot of fun doing it.
For emotional acting, this has been the most intense thing I've ever done. In that scene where we find Wyatt, he jolts up and starts screaming at us and blaming us. I talked to Ben, the acting coach, and Andy, the director, and I was like, okay, well, what if it's a role reversal where Eddie is talking to Wyatt, calming him down, and I'm at the foot of him crying, and it sort of just turned into everyone started crying.
It was a pretty emotional moment. You know, the curious thing is that it coincided with one of the last days of shoot. The feelings you see on the screen are very much what the kids felt that day. because it was one of the last days that they will all be together. You can feel the sadness and the need to be together for the last time and thank each other, and they just let it go, and they were all crying, and they were crying for real. When you make a movie, it takes so much time and so much work, and you see them, and so much endurance, because you see the movie over and over and over and over, that you tend to somehow like disconnect emotionally to it, but somehow every time that there's an emotional beat, it still gets me.